Australia is a country located in the southern hemisphere, surrounded by the Pacific and Indian Oceans. It is a country known for its diverse ecosystems, which range from tropical rainforests to deserts. Australia is also rich in natural resources, which contribute significantly to its economy. The country has a plentiful amount of minerals and metals ranging from coal, iron ore, gold, copper, and nickel. Australia is known to be one of the largest producers and exporters of coal, specifically in the Queensland and New South Wales area. Not only is Australia rich in minerals, the country has also ample amounts of natural gas and petroleum. Australia is a major exporter of liquefied natural gas, in particular from fields in Western Australia and in the Northern Territory as well, while also producing substantial quantities of crude oil. In terms of agriculture, Australia is one of the world's leading wheat exporters, especially in the Western Australia and in the Wheat Belt region. The country is also diverse and multicultural, with a population that reflects a rich mix of ethnicities. As of 2025, the estimated population of Australia is around 26 million people. In fact, one of the first peoples of this land are known as the Indigenous and Torres Strait Islanders. These peoples have a history dating back over 65,000 years. Indigenous Australians primarily reside in the mainland Australia, while the Torres Strait Islanders reside between the northern area of Queensland and Papua New Guinea. However, Indigenous Australians only represent about 3% of the overall population of Australia. As for the makeup of the ethnic diversity within the country, the majority of Australians are of European backgrounds, primarily from the Irish and British backgrounds due to the country's history as a British colony. Although Australia is a beautiful country, it is a country that is prone to wildfires as a result of the country's hot and dry climate. These fires have been growing rapidly in recent years due to the rising issue of climate change. As for the wealth factors of Australia, it is no surprise that the deadly blazes have caused the country significant economic loss. On January 6th, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison declared a $2 billion recovery fund for the current bushfires, yet that alone will not nearly be enough to outweigh the damages that were done. In particular, the Black Saturday fires cost an appraised amount of $4.4 billion from all the calculated damages. However, the average full-time annual earnings is roughly $97,510, with household gross annual income at $121,108. Boomers in Australia are the most comfortable financially, having around almost double the shares in national wealth compared to their population size. It is known that, along with Australia, Canada was under the British colony as well. However, both countries' governments fall under opposite ends of the spectrum. Australia is a constitutional monarchy, which means that the position of head of state is inherited. A constitutional monarchy is one where the powers of the monarch or sovereign, the king or queen, are limited by laws or conventions, and are typically exercised only according to the advice of an elected government. Australia is facing a major issue that has become more and more well known: the issue regarding environmental impacts. With Australia already experiencing significant and extreme consequences. These fires have been growing rapidly in recent years due to the rising issue of climate change. Some of the most notorious fires have taken place between the years of 2019 and 2020. These fires were catastrophic in scale, both impacting people and nature. Approximately 19 million hectares was burnt to a crisp, with 12.6 million hectares being predominantly forests and woodlands. The most heartbreaking news to come from this issue was its detrimental impact on animals. Over 3 billion animals were impacted by these deadly blazes. Even the biodiversity was greatly impacted to a point where many food chains of animals were affected and cannot be restored. It is a well-known fact that Australia is home to a remarkable diversity of life that can't be found anywhere else on the planet. However, the sad reality now being that 1,700 species of plants, animals, and ecological communities are formally listed as endangered. Another major impact that the wildfires had in Australia was how these fires severely tampered with the air quality. The World Health Organization responded to the health impacts caused by the poor air quality. Between the months of October to January, the fires had a substantial impact on health. In total, there has been 171 deaths as a result of the short-term exposure to the fires. With this being said, the fires accounted for nearly 30% of the deaths from just the short-term exposure alone. Around 4,371 people were exposed to the air that had high levels of PM, which stands for the particle matter which is released into the atmosphere by the fires. The main issue I'll be directing my focus towards is about what are the economic impacts on the local Australian economy due to the cause of the wildfires. The damper on the local economy is substantial and multifaceted, which affects various sectors and communities. Not only did forests get affected, but many homes were burned to a crisp, which left families and the community with nowhere else to call home. This resulted in immediate financial losses, both in property values and in the cost of rebuilding the properties. Along with the buildings being diminished by the deadly blazes, infrastructure also suffered severe economic trouble. The fires have caused damages to roads, power lines, telecommunications, and rail networks. The Yarlope fire, in which 160 homes were destroyed in the Western Power, estimated the cost of restoring the electricity network at $26 million. The Morrison government has announced a $2 billion fire refund. However, this money will flow over the next 2 years. Yet both the Prime Minister and the Treasurer have weakened their formerly concrete commitment to returning the budget to surplus. The fires will also affect the tourism sector quite brutally also. The main contributor to this was the Black Summer bushfires from the span of 2019 to 2020. The fires 5 years ago prompted widespread tourism shutdowns in main parts of the country in the leading up Christmas and New Year's season. This resulted in a $1.7 billion immediate losses to the tourism industry, which evidently affected the larger drop in supply chain output. In Australia, tourism is a crucial industry, says author Vivian Rayner. Ms. Rayner also reveals that before the fire started in 2019, statistics have shown that in rural areas, almost 1 in 12 people, or 8%, were employed in connection related to the tourism industry. As this issue is an evident economical issue, it is also considered an environmental issue as well. The fires have caused significant loss of biodiversity, which includes the destruction of habitats for native species. For example, species such as koalas were critically affected by the habitat loss. These fires will have a long-term effect on the ecological damages. Also, forests and ecosystems provide necessary services such as the regulation of water and soil fertility. The wildfires will reduce the ability for these ecosystems to perform and provide these valuable services, which in the long term will lead to severe environmental and economical consequences that the country will not be prepared to face. As for what sector this regards, it is considered a national issue, as the Australian government spent billions and billions of dollars on firefighting efforts, disaster relief funds, and recovery programs. The Australian government allocated approximately $2 billion for the bushfire recoveries, which included farmers, businesses, and individuals affected by the fires. Job opportunities were also negatively impacted by the fires. Since the tourism and agriculture industries were hit the hardest, it has a domino effect on their transportation industry also because the produce is diminished, resulting in less agriculture freight to be moved. Yet, every industry is connected to transportation, and the damages allocated will have extreme long-term lasting ramifications. Black Saturday bushfires were some of the most horrific fires in Australian history ever recorded. It occurred in Victoria on February 7, 2009. The fires killed 173 people, destroying thousands of homes, and caused irreversible environmental damages. The Black Saturday fires cost $4.4 billion in direct economic losses. While the overall local economy in 2009 showed persistence surrounded by the global financial crisis, the Black Saturday fires caused immediate and long-lasting disruptions to the local economy in the affected regions, primarily in Victoria. As of 2024, the Australian economy continues to struggle with the long-term effects of the previous bushfires, counting the devastating Black Summer fires as well, and Black Saturday 2009. These fires have left a long-lasting impact on the regions more prone to fires in Australia. However, the economy has recovered at a slow and steady pace. Rebuilding and recovery from the 2019-2020 fires are still in the process. In 2024, a lot of regions have witnessed economic revitalization through the reconstructive projects that have taken place. Yet, this process of rebuilding and strengthening the economy can only be done with time and resilience. The effects of the wildfires on the Australian economy concern a wide range of stakeholders being citizens, organizations, and government bodies. Local councils are crucial in coordinating disaster relief at the communal level. They provide instant services such as medical care, shelter, and cleanup operations. Local residents in fire-prone areas are directly affected by property losses, the disruption of livelihood, and the psychological and emotional toll caused by the disasters. 12 to 18 months after the 2019-2020 fires ended, researchers found that high levels of depression, anxiety, and stress. This primarily affected parents with children under 18 years old. Yet, researchers conducted a recent survey that measured the psychological resilience of citizens now. The test captured signs of resilience, including well-being, growth, and tendencies to cope with the PTSD. The Australian government is responding to the economical impacts posed by the fires. The government's initial $2 billion recovery fund is ensuring that families, farmers, and business owners affected by these brutal bushfires get the support they need as they recover. The Australian government is also currently rebuilding affected infrastructure using the most advanced technology. The Australian government also has recently announced an initial investment of $50 million to support immediate work to protect wildlife. While fires mainly affected the Australian economy, they have had a ripple effect on other countries. As Australia is one of the top wine exporters in the world, countries such as the United Kingdom, United States, and China experience disruptions in wine imports. Additionally, Australia's agriculture sector plays an important role in global trade, in particular, materials such as beef, wheat, and dairy products. Countries such as China, Japan, the Philippines, and South Korea all heavily rely on Australian exports. These countries were impacted by the disruptions in supply chains for essential food products, which drive the prices up. Australia is a country known for lethal wildfires that occur more often than not. These fires are triggered by climate change and the widespread carbon emissions released. To add, Australia is home to animals that can't be found anywhere else in the world. These animals are endangered of extinction as the fires continue to occur. By providing funds to Australia, you can help spare an animal's life and help destroy the thought of extinction. Solutions I can think of to solving this pressing issue could be rebuilding damaged infrastructure. By rebuilding infrastructure such as roads, electricity, and water supply, this could be essential for local businesses to resume operations and for the community to return to somewhat normalcy. Restoring tourism infrastructure could also be a solution to the problem. The affected industries such as the national parks, coastal regions, and wine regions must be restored quickly. There could be repairs done to accommodations, attractions, and transportation links to bring back the tourism sector. To solve the economic impacts on the Australian wildfires of the local economy, it will take a collaborative effort that involves short-term relief and long-term actions. Most importantly, it will involve a strong community engagement.